everybody. Today is incredible. This morning I finished some work I've been working on for a very long time. It's incredible what has come through the pipeline for me. For those who've been watching my videos, Solomon Islands, The Guardian tackles that, the National Observer, many UK direct companies. And from that video, I finished some key monumental works as I watched media pour in on their version of what they believe are friends of the indigenous people of the Solomon Islands. After what I went through with Uniqlo's, it completes the circle, which brings me right back to Canada. Believe it or not, folks, Canada. I said third largest financer of the NWO, and folks, that's become reality. Canada Square One. It's a tower. It's a tower in London, specifically the Canary Manchester area. A complete breakdown of the United Kingdom over George Soros back in the 90s when UK's dollar value crashed because of George Soros. United Kingdom citizens all on the hook, all lost their shirts. Life became forever harder for the average UK citizen. George Soros made $1 billion in one day in wealth transfer. Other people, like the Reichman family, lost everything only to be rebuilt now, entirely financed. Do you know where they trace to? The Trudeau Foundation. The Guardian, The Observer, the National Observer, and many spin-offs. There's 95 of them, media companies throughout the Commonwealth, throughout the world. Washington Post, New York Post have direct attachments. Many Canadian media moguls, Canadian government paying for media directly from those companies. I've got all that traced. I've been working at it for a long time. And now, officially today, after I finished up with the information I got in the Uniqlo's, for all those who don't know, I was live on the UN Law of the Sea 40th anniversary with absolutely many UN representatives of many countries, not Russia, not USA. This is all done without those U5 or P5 permanent members in attendance. I went there on my own. I was graciously invited by Chief Justices of the European Union. I got in. I lasted 2 hours before they threw me out. Now, what's come of everything I've processed? Absolutely the addition of the Reichman family. Canada, one square. The tower, we can all look it up. I've chased those media companies, the satellite images, the works, the media stories, going back through the 90s and everything that's happened in the Pacific. With that detailed satellite map, all the problematic regions of the UK and France. This is all outside of Russia and USA. They wouldn't know because Russia is currently removed and USA never signed, so they have no idea. They have no idea what the radical left has been up to, specifically corrupt Democrats. This is the alt-left fringe group that isn't so fringy anymore. For the last 30 years, they've been growing rapidly. And why? Because of an NWO, a financing of this wealthy elite, New World Order system that isn't really New World Order, folks. It's Old World Order. In fact, it's the staple of the League of Nations and the colonial empires that nobody talks about. which begs the question of the fringe group of the alt-right. Why do Republicans not talk about it? All these conspiracy theories that never lead to any truth are often loaded with missiles like they were planted by that wealthy NWO elite. I'm here to clear all that up today. Michelle Rempel Garner, MP, begged me to deal with this 2 years ago. She asked me to do work on it. She did a public outcry. I told her off. I made a public statement, said I had answers to that question. And of course, I'm working on the other one. I finished it today, which also begs the question of Pierre Poilievre and his digital workings on currency, Bitcoin. If you haven't been watching his posts, it's getting very, very radical. Why would you want government oversight over fake assets or assets that are not tangible? Why is that a big push right now today? I can tell you, these media companies, The Guardian, National Observer, Washington Post, New York Post, list goes on and on. There's so many for the UK. There's 95 of them. All go back to Toronto's Reichman family and a $32 billion loss. A complete scandal in the early 90s, which is right around the time the royal family started pressing and pushing Agenda 2021, Agenda 2030 to come after the cementing of the Commonwealth Charter 2012 that outlines all of this. That's always been a push. Nobody from that alt-right or alt-left ever highlights the Crown, because they are the Crown. It's a corruption of America, specifically a radical view of the alt-left, which is shared by absolutely the colonial empires. Not talked about in America at all. Not talked about any of these conspiracy groups. They always lead you into a false reality. I have the financial ties officially today worldwide. I think I'm the only one currently today publishing the truth of the Toronto family Reichman. Go look it up, folks. Did they lose hard? They lost apparently their empire. They're the fourth richest family in the world of the time, aligned with George Soros and the Trudeau Foundation, had complete financial control of Manchester Canary. If you don't know what that is, think of it as Manhattan, New York, and getting full control of all the commercial real estate, and then going absolutely tits up. And then out of that, they've regained most of their wealth. They still own Canada One Square. Why is it named Canada One Square? Why is it a pyramid designed at the top to highlight an elite first class? Canada One Square, One Canada. No First Peoples, the original colonial design that's done very well throughout the world. As I go forward with residential school genocide, highlighting the entirety of the world, it is not USA, is not Russia, but absolutely massive amount of colonials, and a design called Canada related to the 1876 Indian Act, and all administered throughout the world in many, many former empires. Nobody talks about it, not the alt-left, not the alt-right, everything but the truth. I've chased it right back now to the Reichman family and the George Soros Reichman Trudeau Foundation scam. As I've always said, Canada's the third largest financer of the NWO. Why, when this is easily found, not super easy, but imagine if I had $1 million budget, like so many political parties have multi-million-dollar budgets. Apparently, MPs like Pierre Poilievre, Michelle Rempel can't get to it, but a guy with no money, no budget, who ends up in Uniqlo's live on a world stage 2 nights ago after midnight gets the final amount of information. And I finished that work in the early hours of the morning. It's done. And I've chased all the players. I know the corruption of the media. Russia and USA are going to get it. I don't think the Biden administration is going to like that. I'm sure the Republicans would like that. It's all there for you folks. You've got the names now. You can now start Google searching and you're going to find it all comes together. The stories range from 1991 to 1993. The birth of Agenda 2021 and the exact period George Soros literally robbed in one day, all of the United Kingdom common Joe Janes. UK is a unitary state. They have a royal family. They have an elite status of citizenry that overtakes all the people because they have no codified constitution. They're nothing like Russia, nothing like the United States of America, and many other real democracies in the world. They've always been in a shadow system. Canada, one square. Check it out. Check out the history. I've traced it back to Scott Trust, who leads me right back to directly the Trudeau Foundation, the Reichman family, and absolutely George Soros, all working in unison. That family that apparently went tits up is not tits up at all. They've regained much of their wealth. It was all credit and borrowed through banking. Now, who would have been their banking expert? Well, that's clear. It was George Soros. The illusion, and now the reality. The family's right back to their full strength. And how? Because of bailouts. Bailouts by the United Kingdom citizenry, many from the Commonwealth, and absolutely number 3 financer per person per capita, the Canadian citizen. And when I say third financer, I mean on world scale, meaning Canadians paid the most out of any citizens in the entire world to this scam. You, the people, did of Canada. There's only 40 million of you. It is way, way beyond any measure. Much is going to come forward. Much is going to be released. But just take this morning to go search the family, check out the last name, Canada, one square, read the whole history. It's funny what comes to you when you start seeing the players and then you start chasing the companies because you don't know the companies. And then when you read the history, you go, whoa, this isn't conspiracy anymore. And what bothers me is how is it a guy like myself can get these answers by standing up time after time and getting to big events. There's lots of rich people who've been in these events. How is it Michelle Rempel with WEF or Pierre Poilievre with WEF don't seemingly know all this stuff because they obviously were there. I know they were. But they never released any of this to you. I had to go there, get kicked around, put myself at risk. Now my face is all over those countries. Countries that don't like to be ruffled. Powerful, powerful people. But I went there. I got the job done in literally a couple days. And you're telling me they never knew this whole time? They're in on it, guys. We don't have any parties representing us, the people. And why? Because you have no constitution cementing any of you. No Canadian citizens outside of the first class elite or the First Peoples. None whatsoever. Even domestic business owners. Unless you are a direct financer for that, you're nothing. That's the Constitution of Canada. Two-thirds of it of the 1867 component. No lawyer talks about it. None of these people telling you, oh, charter, this, that. These people are better equipped than I am, but yet couldn't get these very real answers. Why? Because they're part of that colonial system. They're part of that elite first class There was never such a thing as left and right. Not in Canada, for sure, or much of the Commonwealth. There isn't. You're seeing the Solomon Islands. You're saying friends of the Solomon people. Is it a friend who takes your children at the grade level of 6, puts them on a boat, and ships them away? Many of them end up on the streets or turn into child sex trafficked workers. Have the largest percentage of forced labor in the world today. Basically slavery, keeping them dumbed down. And they ran to China. You guys, they didn't run to China because it's corruption, because of power or glory like The Guardian and The Observer and Washington Post and New York Post tried to claim with Canadian writers. Writers who swore an oath to that Manchester, London. I have it all through the Scott Trust. You have to swear an oath to that trust. You have to be put through their system at Canada One Square in Manchester, Canary, that area. None of the banks wanted to move there. None of them did, and it went tits up. But George Soros made $1 billion. The Trudeau Foundation made unbelievable amounts of money. At whose great expense? Well, you, the Canadian people, by far per person per capita, more than anyone else in the world. UK suffered, but not as much as you. This is the truth. And how Pierre Poilievre and Michel Rempel never got to this conclusion. They participated, guys. They've had the power, the participation, the ability, the money, the resources, but yet they couldn't bring it forward to you. It took a lowlife degenerate, according to them, an average Joe Jane, to do that for Canadians. If you don't think there's no corruption in Canada, I'm sorry. We are massively corrupt. And we are corrupt in a colonial system that is designed to destroy you, the people, slave you as third class. If you want to have a business and be successful, you better follow the mandates of the first class, or you don't exist at all. Just ask the energy producers from oil and gas. They've been running. And now we're going to watch as inflation goes out of control and everyone's acting like the system's very complicated. I'm an educated economist. That is my designation. That's what I went to school for. And I'm telling you, folks, this isn't complicated what the government's doing. In a lot of places in the world, it's called corruption. It's called price fixing, market fixing. There's all kinds of names, there's all kinds of terms, all kinds of different rationale, really simple stuff that anyone can understand. It's sad, it's disgusting. Later today I will go into day 9, story 9, and I'll share that with all of you. But this video is huge. It's been years in the works, and it took just a meeting on a world stage in the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea with almost all those colonial countries, absent of Russia and USA, to get the final works. The data I got is unbelievable, what was disclosed to me. It's unbelievable. And it rounds it all out. And I was so glad that the perpetrators start pumping their stories. And then you can look at The Guardian, you can read the Solomon Islands and others, The Observer, National Post, Washington Post, you can read New York Post. They're all in on it, boys and girls. They're all in on it. And nobody brought it forward to you because that doesn't work for the first class. And now they're trying to sell you digital currency. That's the new conservative idea. Bitcoin. No real asset value, but don't worry, get in, invest now. Whenever they call for a mass amount of the population to invest in anything, there's no money to be made. In Canada, the third class. It's like, do you remember RSPs? Raise your hand if those worked out well for you, especially those who retired. And then they go to utilize it. Or the government rolls out emergencies and all of a sudden you're dipping into it while you've been working and you lose your shirt and you're double taxed. Tax deferral is all it really worked out to. And often at a loss, especially those who were tricked by the charter banks into borrowing to fund RSPs. Sick, perverted, always about wealth transfer from hard-working Joe Janes who actually produce wealth. Industries that produce wealth, they keep getting constricted while we transfer wealth to people who don't generate wealth. They consume it, they take it, and they use it somewhere else. Central banking really corrupt, especially for Canada. With your government, who Pierre Poilievre and Michelle Rempel know exactly, as I busted her live on Twitter Spaces. We had a direct talk, me and Michelle. I'm banned from her Facebook, but I made an ass out of her on a big Twitter Spaces for Bitcoin giants, where Michelle gets on there, and then I warned all those Bitcoin giants about what the government's planning to do. Just look at the convoy. They will take control of it. They will make sure they'll tax the shit out of you like everything else and transfer it to foundations and foreign powers. Because you know why, everybody? That is the preamble of the Canadian Constitution. Look at the Reichman family, the history of Hungary, right directly to George Soros. Unbelievable, guys, but 100% truthful. You can Google it now and you're going to see the relation. And for all those who talk about Agenda 2021 and those who know the birth of it, that is the birth of it. That is the time. These are the players. It's real, verified, and we can chase it to all the media outlets who are in on it. That's a fact. And some claimingly are conservative, like The Guardian. Sad, sick, perverted. Check out Scott Trust, then over to the Reichman family and George Soros. Look at the history from Hungary. And especially, everybody remember, Canada One Square, Manchester Canary. Check it out. It was to be the New York style stock exchange or the Manhattan complexes of London. Epic failure. George Soros made $1 billion in one day. Trudeau's foundation made a crap load. Back pocket. Meanwhile, all Canadians suffer. Look at the prices in Toronto. Unbelievable. That's my video. Share. It's the only one in the world today. It shows you that alt-right and the conspiracies, clearly, they're developed by colonial powers. They're in on it too. Because if an average guy like myself, who can easily prove and verify everything I say, because you're all going to Google it now and go, holy crap, how come I never heard this from those alt-right sides? How come Republicans didn't chase us down? Because there's a lot of people with a heck of a lot more resources than me and a heck of a lot more money. Begs the question, doesn't it? Nazi Germany, was it alt-right or alt-left? Because the world to this day still argues up both sides. Oh, no, they were alt-right. Oh, no, they're alt-left. The truth is, in a circle, you go so far to the left, you smack right into the right. You go so far to the left around that circle, you're smack into the left. They're one and the same, just two different modes leading to the same thing. Whether it's private enterprise in 100% monopoly or limited oligarchs with a government mandating, or they control the government, or the government runs it all in state. tell me how it's any different. Years ago, I published all of it in Real Economics. I showed you Japan, that alt-right, wealthy oligarchs, limited government, but massive, massive rape of the people, super debt to GDP ratio, an underground economy. For those domestic small businesses, everyone suffers there hard. Check it out. The devaluation of people. Extreme debt. Extreme debt. Canada's following suit. Catching up fast. And they weren't decimated by atomic bombs. But that system of absolute wealth transfer and rape of the people, it's going on for a very long time in Japan. Canada's working its way there. Where does the wealth go? How is that any different than communism or absolute state-run countries? Everybody goes, oh look, oh look, oh look. Well, what about wealthy oligarchs? People ask about Elon Musk. He's going to be the world's first trillionaire. What has he really done? Has government mandate for him an absolute monopoly? Because now Russia's going to be out of the picture, who's vastly cheaper than his SpaceX. But that's not the issue, right? It's better to have monopolies? That's weird. That's anti-American. And there were laws by America First since 1924, as well as the Constitution of the United States limits that. Because that, pure capitalism, is absolutely no different than pure socialism. For crown colonials, that's a staple. Divine socialism, divine capitalism, for the first class, where all the shit end of bull sticks go down to you, the people. When you see these multi-party systems, just like South Africa, we can go all over the world. I'm doing it every day for residential school genocide. The Canadian built 1867 to the Indian Act of 1876. It's remanufactured all over the world. And nobody talks about that, even though you chase the money now and you find all the families, and it's pretty easy if you were in with those elites. I've never been, but I finally made it to a stage, thrown off, but not before. I now have in my possession all of it. All of it. And you're telling me these politicians with serious cash, with serious ties, in all these years, Harper, and even before that, they didn't know? They knew. They're participating. They're screwing all of you over. You, the average Joe Jane. In America, the Constitution forbids this. The Constitution submits the people, the equality of person. It should be interesting. I wonder what the GOP is going to do with it. I wonder what the Republicans are going to do with it. Are they going to use it for good purposes, or are they now too corrupted by the fringe lunatics? I don't know. Those in bed with the royal family. Republicans have always been strong traditionally. They've been outspoken on it. People talk about JFK, who was assassinated 7 days after speaking just like Richard Nixon before him, folks, because Richard Nixon ran against JFK. In fact, Richard Nixon goes back further than JFK. He's the first to talk about it. He lost JFK, but JFK talked about it too. He ended up assassinated. Then we watched Richard Nixon come forward, character assassinated. He made a mistake. He was looking at communism when he should have been looking at crown. Character assassinated, destroyed as he was getting there, 1975. Then comes Ronald Reagan, talking the same thing, attempted assassination. There's been people try and fight this all over the world, even people like me, just like me, who have a talent in a certain area and can work it through, get to the truth, can read large volumes. I'm not some Superman. There are people out there all over the place, and they've come forward decade after decade after decade, and you'll find they're either dead, imprisoned, or character assassinated. That's reality. That's reality. It's sad. It's sick. It's unreal. Share this video. Get it out there. It's credible. Do the Google searches, and you're going to find, wow, it all ties together. It's nice when you have the names, when you have the historical ties, when you get the media company financiers, when you get to look at the world as it is right now, when you have no Russian USA on the platform, which was Uniqlo's for me. Everybody except USA and Russia, and possibly China. I don't even know if China was there, because I was kicked out before we ever got to that. But I certainly know 100% Russia and USA were not there. And when that happened, I got to see some incredible data. Unbelievable. Corrupt media in the USA, especially in the left, but it begs the question, what limited right medias, why are they in bed with the UK too, and why can't they find this easy truth with the data? Because I did. Why didn't Michelle Rempel, Pierre-Paul Vert hit it? Why are they so into digital currency, Bitcoin, and the lack of physical, tangible assets, and telling everyone and their dog to invest in it? Because traditionally, if everyone's investing in something, you've hit the bottom of the pyramid and you're going to lose your shirt. Thank you. That's my video. Go check out the dates, check out the names, check out Canada One Square and that history. Look at Agenda 2021, its full history, into Agenda 2030. The Commonwealth Charter of 2012 cemented for all those countries, and every leader did. You'll find Harper, you'll find Rempel, you'll find Pierre-Paul Vert, you will find Justin Trudeau's family, the Trudeau Foundation from the early 90s all the way through till today. You'll find all the media companies. Go look at who rents in Canada One Square. And remember, it's Canada One with a pyramid on top. The greatest thing that UK ever came up with was 1867 and the 1876 Indian Act. It allowed them to pursue a whole new world order. Age of Empires is not gone. It's grown and gotten only stronger at absolutely all the expense of the common people. The equality of person is very limited in this world. Federalism, very limited in this world. Russia and USA are big targets. Big targets. How many politicians are corrupted? Well, we know Joe Biden is. We know some in the Republicans are. We definitely know all of Canada's politicians are. Absolutely all of them. Every party. And others sworn to the crown. Because they have more resources than me. They've had access to those stages, those organizations, yet they couldn't figure this out. It comes out in propaganda, circling everything but reality, everything but the key players, everything but the truth. And they keep feeding you, call me, call me, call me, call me. It's not call me. It's Commonwealth, specifically right to London, directly, financially. And you get to see who benefited and who suffered. All of you suffered. Thank you. That's my video. Share, 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 because it's credible, verifiable, easy Google search. And look at all the dates, all the players. Look at Canada One Square. I'm going to say it again. Look at the Reichman family. Look at that history. Look at Agenda 2021. Look at Agenda 2030 and look at the Commonwealth Charter 2012. Cemented. Check it out. Scott Trust. Check out the National Observer. Check out the Guardian. Check out the Washington Post. Check out the New York Post. It's done. It's there. It's easily found now, tied together for the first time in the world's history since all of the conspiracy theories. Legitimately. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day, and we'll see you for Residential School Genocide, the next one, coming in a few hours. Thanks. Bye now.